I don't know what I'm doing. Turn off this stream now. Save yourselves. Okay. All right, so let me show you where Gingy's at. I grabbed some other dungeon assets and pulled him in here, made a nice prefab out of him because that other one's too enclosed. I can't find anything. Had to shrink him down a little bit to fit through the doors here. Still have ProGrids on. Anybody else find that ProGrids is now a virus on your computer? It won't go away? Just me? Like every project I open, ProGrids is like, what up? Okay. All right. Maybe it's just me. Okay. Somebody at least. All right. My animations need work, the timing, all of that stuff. But here's how far we got on Tuesday when I didn't record. Look at that. Okay. So, shoot. There we go. So that's the jump. Very delayed jump. I got some weird, hit the space bar once. And I'm not sure what's happening. So what's supposed to be happening is he goes up. We've got a frame of him just being still, and then he comes down. For whatever reason, he's returning to normal after his jump up, and then he's doing the landing animation. So I don't know what happened there. Walking, there we go. They're just slow to react. And then what else? I got the aggressive handshake going on when I hit fire. So he works. We got his animations kind of set up. Here's my controller. Yeah, no, if it doesn't look like Spider-Man's been hanging out on your computer, maybe you did something wrong. So on entry, when the game starts, basically, this is almost the same as our on awake or start, right? We go right to idle. So the first thing he should do is just do his little bop. And then from idle, I can either start to walk, and then when my walk cycle's done, it comes back to idle, or I can jump, right? So pay attention to the arrows. I made these transitions, and then he's supposed to go from jump to this, and back again. And I probably need to play with the transition some, but we're going to start over with the other cookie guide. And so jump back to idle, and then I've got him set up right now that no matter what he's doing, so this from any state, I can be in mid jump, mid walking, mid whatever. So any state means just whatever's happening. If the button is hit, I go right to attack, and then I need to transition back to something, or then I lose control. Like if I didn't have this here, and I went to punch somebody, then I'm stuck. I'm lost. So this needs to look like a web for a reason. So right click on attack and say just transition. Whenever I'm done aggressively shaking someone's hand or slapping them on the shoulder or whatever's happening there, then we go back to idle, which is kind of our default thing. So I set all this up. We don't have anyone attacking us yet, but the same thing should happen for the oof, where he looks like he's been punched in the stomach. So he works, and I'll pull the script up really quick. Not that script. I'll show you what I did. It's just a combination of this, where I'm just looking for inputs and setting triggers and booleans on my animator. And then I also basically shuffled in both controllers from the first person control. So the first person controller that we had were forward and sideways movement was on the actual player. And then we had some rotation stuff on the camera. I've condensed all of that into one big script. So here's Gingy's current script. He's got the walk speed, the jump. So all the same stuff we had on our original first person controller, including just a little bit on rotation. And right now, I've just got the camera as a child of Gingy. So he's just got a GoPro hanging out on the back, like toward the back of his head. So as he turns, then it turns with him. And it's a terrible system, but it works for now because we're really more worried about the animation. Yeah.
This probably is really answered by that rotation on X. Do you want the character to just keep rotating on X or use that camera? Because I feel like he's got to look out the whole thing. Just gonna.
Well, I'm not doing. Yeah, so I took the rotation on Y stuff out. So we're fixed, right? So he's Yeah, we're just rotating on X. I'm not doing any looking up or down. There's no camera like movement um, by itself. So to rotate Gingy and the camera, we're still moving the mouse, and then we can still strafe with horizontal input on the walking. This is not, but I'm showing it to you because it is a combination of three scripts that are on the website. So it's the one that I've got here that's just calling the animation um, strings, and then bits of the two from the first person controller, the Benji one. So um, I'm going to show it, but it should be a good exercise for you to also try to shuffle this together. Not that hard. I'll scroll a little bit slowly. It's all here. Watch the video, but I'm not going to completely give it away. All that's from there. Really, it's mostly it's the first person movement with the added in rotation stuff here, and then the added in animator stuff as we need them. Right. So on update, this is all the same. That's all the same. This little bit is cut from the camera rotation, and then um, this bit is from the Gingy animation controller. So right now, I've only got him doing his walk when we're going forward. I could also say, you know, if I'm getting anything on the horizontal, then he can still do his derpy walk while he's strafing sideways. Be fine. Right now, he just strafes like while idling. But anyway, so that's all set up and it's garbage, but it works. So let's go ahead and start over, and we'll bring in the Cookie Man. So just to see it one more time, we've got new Gingy, which was done by a student. We'll drag that in. So assets, models. Why? Why do I have to do that twice? Every time. So this is just the FBX. I swear he's not that bad. The FBX viewer hates him. He's kind of okay here. So let me get him set up. So first thing I need to do is I need to pull his materials. So I'll extract textures to a textures folder. And then extract materials to a materials folder, all sitting here in my models folder. It's just a good way to chunk them. All right, and now we can see this guy. Blarg. Literally just gave you a material and you're saying, nope. Oh, that is so weird. Maybe. Let me just drag this guy in. Sweet. We can step on him. It's all fine. Yeah. He's but a crumb. All right. He looks fine there. Let me go back to this. Yeah, and it refreshed. So whatever. First, let's fix that. He probably needs to be at least 10 times bigger. So I'm going to scale the actual imported guy. Nope. Now he's not a crumb, he's a cookie. So we'll go 100 times bigger. Wow. Okay. That mostly works. We'll leave it there. Okay, so on animation, the heck? Unity has taken the day off. You remember like 2 seconds ago when it was here? Oh, it's yeah. When I blew him up, this didn't refresh. So I'm okay. Here we go. We'll just we'll get off of that, and then we'll come back. And we're back. All right. So you need to get on something else on the inspector, and then when you come back to it, it'll refresh. Little known fact. So we've got, just like Gingy was on import, we have got a whole bunch of animations in one take one clip. So let's just watch this guy. Like the checkerboard cookie eye patch. That's fun stuff. His jump's a little more dramatic. He's a kicker, not a slapper. And he's again super slow, so we'll have to speed his animation up. So we got to walk, we got to jump, we got to kick, and then that looks like maybe Gingy's aggressive handshake slapped him in the face. So we just got that. What we don't have here is an idle, but we can just take like little bits. We can just take these clips, right? Take a few frames. We can make our own idle. So let's start chunking this out. So we've got this guy. We want to import animation. That's all good. We just want to play with the clips. So we start walking at, say, frame 1. And then he doesn't return quite to neutral as easily as Gingy does. That looks like about, he's starting to go down for the jump. We might be able to do 1 to 100. Let's try it. So I'm going to do a new clip. So I come up here. We've got take 1. Hit plus. We'll just leave take 1 as it is. And then we'll make a new clip for walk. Again, I can come down here and just set the start and end frames. We can set this up here. We didn't do this on Tuesday. We had to go back and do it. The walk is going to be something we're going to be doing a lot. So we're going to loop it. So we're looping that animation. There's all kinds of more stuff for curves and events and all this other stuff, but we do want the loop. I'll go ahead and apply this, and let's see what the walk looks like. His very slow return, because since his neutral pose isn't part of the walk, it looks a little weirder. So we probably want to cut some more off of the end, maybe even off the beginning, because that where Gingy was set up nice, so that everything returned to the neutral. Not everything here does, and so we're gonna clip all those, and we'll just look derpy rather than have all this dead space in there. So we probably want to we cut it at like 88, 90. We cut it at 90, and then we don't have that return. And then if we figure out where our idle's at, we'll just start walking at 15. So we'll do 15 to 90. Let's change it up. See what this looks like. It's still going to look weird, but at least he's maintaining some momentum, right? It's not like I took 2 steps and I've got to stop and take my breath. Like, man doesn't have asthma. He can keep walking. All right, we're going to call that good for the walk. So we're going to have some just frames we don't use, and that's fine. All right, let's figure out where the jump's at. So same thing, new clip with the plus button here. We'll name it. I think rather than try to be fancy with it, we'll just do it all in one big jump. And so that's going to start at like at least 100, right? So he's back down at, call it 209, 210. We'll call it 210. I like to keep the numbers as even as I can, if I can. Let's see what that looks like. Now, bear in mind, by itself, this looks more like a somersault, right? So the idea is when you're creating an animation like this, expect that the actual game controller is going to be moving him forward. So he looks like he's walking in place. It's the same with the jump. You don't want to move your character too much up in the animation clip because he'll be getting moved up by his rigid body or whatever. And so this is going to look much more impressive as a jump when this is all up in the air and then arcing back down. It's still just kind of goofy and fun. Okay, so we're going to call that good. What's next? I think the next thing was his attack. We'll just call it for what it is. It was a straight kick. This is at 210. Then we'll just go ahead and start at 210 for now and see what we got. Scroll in the slider here. So if we care about him returning back, then we're going to say 280. Is there anything on the front we can clip? Oh yeah, we can start at 215. We start at 220. A lot of dead space there. Okay, was it 220 to 280? And again, in slow motion, it just looks like he's carrying a lot of groceries and he's having to use his foot to open the door. I don't know what's happening, but when we speed it up, it'll look more aggressive. All right, we like that. What's next on take one? Let's go back. I like keeping take one. Whoa, where'd we go? All right, get him back. Take one's got this. I think we decided maybe some stuff at the start or the end of the jump we could use for an idle. We've got the kick. We just got the little head nod, which will probably be, well, let's just look at it. I won't even name this yet. Let's see what it is. So that one ends at 280. Let's just go ahead and we'll start at 280 for now and see what we got left. It's almost an idle, right? It's almost like he's just stopped and looking around for something. Can also be good for a Gingy to slap me in the face, but yeah, he's got kind of a bop going. We're just going to call this the idle. Yeah, it's the oof or the idle. You can use it whatever we want. What should we use it for? No? No one? Votes? Guesses? Just, all right, I was going to call it the idle. Yeah, as he's like leaning, yeah, that might be a better one. That's a good point. Okay, is there anything before we finalize this? Does that look? Do we need to add or cut any frames here? He's just got a little bit of a bop at the very end. That transition, but that almost helps the thing. All right, let's look. We'll do another one, and we're just going to look somewhere at the end of the jump for the oof. So jump is 100 to 210. Let me just look at what that entails and see what we want to. Right at the very beginning, as he's like squatting down for the jump. Yeah, that's a good like. Ugh, ugh, ah. Okay, yeah, I know it's all right. We'll do that. So that's a good start. We could even, no, it's all good. All right, so 100 to like 108, 110. Yeah. Good gut punch right there. Ugh, ugh, ugh. All right. So we don't need take one anymore, but we don't need to get rid of it either. We still have access to all the frames. It's all still there. I'm just going to leave it for now. Now I'm going to get rid of it. The walk we set to loop because that's definitely a thing. The jump will not loop. The kick doesn't loop. Idle definitely we want to loop. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. The oof looked too bad looping. And besides, if you're getting hit that many times in a row, it's probably game over. So I'm going to apply those. All right. So we got this guy called New Gingy. Go ahead and rename him to Cookie Man. He's going to need an animator. Make a controller with all of his stuff in it, and he'll be good to go. So I just added an animator to him. While I'm here, I'll give him a capsule collider and even a rigid body just to get set up for later goodness. And the first thing I want to do is I want to just take that first little bit of animation script, and I just want to, using keystrokes, we may not use this as our main character, but I want to use the keystrokes to trigger the animations just so I can see them all live. So we've got this, that's good. Freeze all of his rotations so he doesn't get spun around accidentally. That's good. All right, so we'll save that. I'm going to go ahead and just start making a prefab for Cookie Man here, knowing that I'm going to make some changes later. And I need a new animator controller for him. So I'm going to come over here to my animation folder, and I'll just create an animator controller. We'll call it Cookie Man. Right now he's got nothing. Drag all this jazz in. And again, the on an empty animator controller, the first one I drag in becomes the default. We can change that if we need to. Like if I accidentally drag oof in, and that's my just the first thing it goes to, I can break that connection. Right? I can just highlight this and delete it. Maybe I can't delete it till I get something else in there. Here we go. So drag. Oh, I did drag idle in. It's right down here. So we'll drag idle in. Make a transition to there and delete this. Oh, not previewable. It's not letting me do it. I've got to delete it. And then we go to idle. All right. Anyway, you can fix it if you need to. Cycle offset. That all looks good. What's up with that? Weird. All right, I'm going to start over because that looked funny. There we go. I don't know why that other one had more arrows or what that signified. We'll have to look it up. All right, so idle is now our main. We have a jump. We have a kick. We have an oof. And we have a walk. So just drag all those into the controller window here, and then we can start to set up stuff. So the jump and the kick. Now we'll play those. We'll transition from idle to walk, and then from walk back to idle. I'm going to speed all of these up right out of the gate. So I'm going to grab each of my clips, and I'm going to double the speed because we thought all of those were slow. So I'm going to double that. Setting everything to 2. This could be done in script, but this way is so much easier. So if I put that other script on him, then we should at least be able to preview the walk. The rest is I've seen things done a lot of different ways, right? So transitioning from idle to walking back is good. Sometimes everything else can come from the any state. Like I don't care. I don't necessarily want to finish my walk cycle before I go back to idle and go to jump, which is what I did with Gingy, and that's part of why he was so slow. So I'm going to try everything else from any state and just see what happens. So from wherever I'm at, if I hit the button to jump, I want to see the jump. And so again, I don't want to leave him hanging, so everything just goes back to idle. Entry, we'll kind of move these around. Here we go. Same thing with kick. I don't care if I'm in the middle of a jump. or if I'm in the middle of walking, if I click the button, I want to see things happen. So I'm going to transition from any state to kick, and then from kick, when that's done, we'll go back to idle. Trying to figure out the best way to lay these out. I'm planning the shape of my web. What a 3D modeler. All right. Any state to oof, from oof, back to idle. That looks goodish for this. Okay, so I'm going to look at some of these transitions. Do we have an exit time? That's a good one to look at. We'll set conditions in a minute. Walk. Transitioning into walk. I just want to start walking. Just want to pull this down. There's not a lot to that idle, right? He's just turning his head around. Shouldn't even impact. But this diagonal line here is kind of the blend. I want it to happen fast. We can take this off, but let's play with the blends. And so we've got exit times, we've got durations, all of this stuff here. We can play with that in a minute, maybe. But what I want to make sure is that this transition happens fast, especially since our animations don't all flow together on the FBX anyway. We want this to feel more performant. So if he looks a little jerky, like it's on the Nintendo 64, we don't care. And then the walk, though, we'll keep that exit time. I want to see all of the walk before we go to idle. So we'll actually just leave that alone. That one looks good. And everything else transition pretty quick. What we'll probably do is we'll just set up a button to preview our oof. So let me just start setting that up. All right, I'm going to save what's going on my controller here. And then I'm going to go borrow my own script again. So really, I just need this jazz from the inside. I don't know what I'm going to call the script. I'm going to steal from the inside here. So for my cookie man, I'm going to add a script for him that's going to control him. And to start with, it's just going to be what we just saw. So it's going to be a, just name it that. We're just going to animate we're going to call the animations via some keys. And then what we'll do is once we got the animations looking good, we'll turn this guy into an NPC, make him a nav mesh agent. While Unity spends lots of time animating or compiling an empty script. Okay, before I forget, I've got this animation controller here that I just set up, but he's not on my cookie man yet. See this? I don't have a controller, so I could drag it in or I can just find it here. So cookie man is in charge of this guy. All right, let's go to the script. Paste all that in. And so I've got an animator. I've made it public just in case I need to do some debugging in the inspector. But the way the rest of this is set up, it could be private because I'm getting it myself. I'm saying, hey, go get the component that's the animator on my root object. And then, so for vertical input, I'll start walking or stop walking. For the trigger jump, hit that button, I'll start jumping. And if I hit fire, I'll start attacking. And then let me just find something else that I can use for the oof. So if input dot get key down, delete? Really? That's what you want to suggest to me? Interesting. Whatever fire 2 is. Someone help me out. figure out what fire 2 is. And I know this isn't gingy. I'll clean that up later. We'll set the trigger. That doesn't exist yet, but we promise it will later. For got oofed, or whatever you want to call it. Huh? Left alt? Okay, sweet. All right, he's not doing anything except we just want to see button down. I oopsed. We just want to see these animations happen and how quick they happen. So I'm going to save this. But before I get too far, this is Cookie Man, and I'm calling my local thing Animate Gingy. So I'm just going to right click on here and rename. Call it Animate Cookie Man. And then it's refactored it all the way down. Yeah, no, there's some stuff in the IDEs in the code tools that are super nice to know. Yeah, you didn't know that? Okay, let me see if I can remember the other one. The other one that I use all the time, if I can remember, they changed the key code. There it is. So, Kyle, you want to comment out a whole block? It's Control Shift and then /, and then the same key codes will undo it. These things will boost your coding productivity like mad. Yeah. Almost every other IDE I've used, it's just been Control /. And so I've been sitting here in Visual Studio, like thinking, why wouldn't they have that key code? They're such morons. I just needed to add shift. So it's Control Shift /. To comment out or uncomment out a whole block. Oh no, yeah, no. There almost every IDE, if they're worth anything, will have. I don't know what the key combination is here. Shift tab. There should be. If there's not, we're going to Microsoft headquarters and burning the place down. No, I thought this is on a live video. Never mind. There should be one that you can highlight an entire class or block of code and hit a key code that's some magic, and it will automatically do all the indentation for you the right way. Yes, it's a super nice feature, again, that I'm used to in lots of other IDEs. I don't know why they changed it for Visual Studio, but once we figure that out, we'll be, again, more productive people. Yeah, I don't know, Microsoft's got to be different. Even though this is a completely ripped off language. Microsoft was behind the let's steal Java and call it C#. Whatever. Anyway, okay. So we've got all this set up on Cookie Man. I've also got Gingy in the scene, who's my camera. So this will be interesting to try and watch the Cookie Man animations while Gingy's moving around. Dude's floating in midair. And for whatever reason, the walk is just, I didn't set up any parameters. I set up the code. I didn't set up my conditional parameters. So he is going from his idle state to walk and back again, like a dork, because code does exactly what we told it to, and I'm a dork, so now my code's a dork. All right, Animator. On Cookie Man, we just need to set some triggers. So the same parameters. Bool, I think we said, is walking. Lowercase, is walking, start jumping, will attack, got oofed. All right. I'll forget all that in 2 seconds. Here we go. And then the rest were all triggers, right? Start jumping. And if you want to use this for movement, You can also, if you look at the list here, we've got floats and ints in here. So we get numerical values from movement, especially if we've got a joystick. So we could set this up to where if my movement threshold is below this number, then I'll use the walking number, walking animation. And if I go past that, like I've hit really far on the stick, then I can use a different, a different value for running. Anything's possible. Anything. Once I've got that trigger or that float value, I can do anything. I can change the speed in the script. Yeah, if that's what you're asking. So start jumping. See, I forgot it all already. Will attack got oofed. So trigger for will attack. Trigger for got oofed. Very technical terms here. All right, so to go to walking, let's go down here and look at our conditions. We want to set our is walking to true, is now on that arrow transition. Hit this arrow for going back. That is walking is false. And then, so once we are not getting input on the vertical axis, we will transition back to idle. All right, now everything else is transitioning from the any state. So to start jumping, our condition will be start jumping. Who knew? Right? I know it's magic. Got oofed is going to be got oofed. And since the triggers are nice, triggers are they're just a one shot. I don't have to look at the value. It's not true. It's not false. It's like the button got hit. Do the thing. We don't care. It's like a Boolean that resets itself. It's kind of cool. I like it. And then we'll attack. Triggers the kick. And then once they're done, right, each of these things, it's not looping. It's at 2. Then once the kick is done, it will transition itself back to idle. Same with all the rest of these that transition back to idle after a trigger. All right, now maybe it'll do something cool. With my camera that starts outside. All right. So there's this idle, and Gingy's idle. The strafing we didn't set an animation for, but forward and back triggers the walk. Jump. Attack. We could probably even speed all these up beyond 2. We may go 3 on all these. And then Alt for got oofed. Ugh. Ugh. Okay, now I got to set this up. Hold on. They're using the same keys, so they're going to attack. Okay. The animations work. I don't see... Since they're kind of derpy animations anyway, they're kind of chunky. Like, the transitions don't even bother me. Just probably need to speed them all up. All right, let's go back to the animator and just crank everything up. So idle... I don't know, the idle actually was kind of... Why don't you speed that up? It looked like he's trying to give himself whiplash while standing still. We'll leave that one alone. The rest of them will speed up. Let's try them at 3. The oof was kind of good too. We'll leave that. Speed up the jump, the walk, and the kick. Not too bad. Yeah. Just waiting for the 80s music to kick in. Oh, that's a much faster jump. We're going to need to make sure he gets plenty of air to finish that. Yeah, he's good. And then the oof was kind of okay. Can we go faster on that? Should we go faster? I guess the point across. Used to Street Fighter. That's still a slow kick. So we can speed up the kick, and what do we think about the oof? Oof's pretty good. It's when you're getting hit, it's a little more dramatic in slow motion. When you're doing the hitting, you want it to be speedy, right? So yeah, okay. And then this guy. Oh wow, I can move him. There you go. Get out of my way. I picked this dungeon because it didn't have a ceiling, and I wanted as much visibility as possible. He's kind of nice. I'm actually going to set him up as a player too. So let me do. I've got Cookie Man as a test. Oh, I could give it its own animator, but it finds it on start. Yeah, but I made it public. I just like him better than Gingy. So here's let me go back to the rubric. Let's talk about that first, because I'm willing to change it up. So we want a new Unity with. Just edit it on the fly. I don't care if you want to. Or no, I don't care. You know what? You don't like my typing? We import Gingy. We separate his stuff. We can walk, jump, attack, and ouch. Main camera follows. Whatever you want to be your main character. Imported Cookie. Got those. He idles. All right. So I'm just cutting these out. What I'm trying to get to with the updated rubric here is use whatever. I want to see all the animations for Gingy and the Cookie Man. But I don't care who's the main player. I don't care if none of these guys are the main player. Attack just whenever. We need them to attack when it makes sense. And I'll just change this to character. So we want a nav mesh. Some character who, just like our dumb nav mesh agents from previously, they will walk, and then when they get to their target destination, they will do their idle pose. And it needs to be an idle animation, not just like T-pose. It needs to do its thing. So there we go. Changing all this up. Nav mesh. Smart. Whoever walks to player's location. So whoever else you want. I wouldn't reuse anyone. I want to see as many animated characters in your scenes as possible, besides just these two guys. I'm gonna have some requirements around that. So we want a character who walks to the player's location, then attacks. It's already here. Sorry, we're changing all this on the fly, but I think it's going to make it a more fun assignment to give you a little more freedom on who's what. Because because I'm over here trying to change it up on myself. So I know you're going to want to too. Um, so we want a character who oofs when the player attacks. And this was already broken out. Making for a riveting video, sorry. Players is. And then more animated characters and stuff. Well, I'm going to turn these into actual requirements. So I'll add that in a minute. So here's what I want. I want a third person character. You can use Gingy, you can use the Cookie Man, you can use something you find from the Unity Asset Store. I want, that could be whatever. And then the rest of your non-player characters, just sub in some more meshes. I'm going to say probably I want 4 different characters. So get 2 from the Asset Store. There's a lot of good stuff here. So if we go to the Asset Store, look at 3D and characters, and then we filter down to even free. We've still got 534. Robot Kyle, some of you have already used. We've got sheep and anime people. We got some low poly guy. I found a bunch of skeletons and zombies. We got somebody who looks like they're trying to be Samus. We got robots. Most of these come with character controllers and animations and already set up. I want you to integrate those. So in addition to making 2 of them for the 2 cookies, you'll be able to see what other people have done with it and maybe get better ideas. This one I definitely downloaded since it was free. The skeleton guy looks pretty cool. So I'm going to want you to integrate 2 others. So this can be, besides being third person, and I want them to attack each other and actually play those animations. This can be kind of like the nav mesh assignments, right? Just want characters walking around doing different things. You're one of them, and then separate them out. So maybe the skeleton, since he's already got swords and stuff. I don't know how he plays. You're not going to show me the animation? Is it not animated? I thought this guy was animated. Thanks, but no thanks on the sound. Yeah, shield and sword. Oh, he's got a humanoid rig. Okay, so you'll have to find some stuff to add to him. Maybe he's not the best for what we are. We want to find some animated characters. Like I said, there's 534 free ones. You can find some that are animated and drop them in. So I want at least 2 more just to get experience with the. Okay, spell. So that's where we're at. Using this script, you can see what we're trying to do, right? It's literally just we get the animator controller, we've got a handle on it, and then when things happen, we just set those triggers. So if it's a boolean, if it's a trigger, if it's a float or an int, whatever you use as your parameters, make sure the animations match up. So it might even be good to start with your previous Pro Builder levels and just add this animation stuff to some of those NPCs code. So start with the NPC code, and then just plop in these animations on top of it. I think some of yours, Matthew, already did, didn't they? Didn't your guys kind of some of your NPCs in your shooter already animate? I know you had like some tank-looking mech walking around and doing stuff. So that's where we're at. That's the fun we're having. Um, I'm not as concerned about complete gameplay loops and menus and audio and everything else. It's we're spending this week figuring out the animator controllers. So you're gonna chunk out these two cookies. You'll bring in at least two other characters and just set something up that displays all the animations and they can attack each other. Um, one thing while we're here, this one's fun. While we're still recording, we can go to something like Gingy here. Since he's already set up as our current character. We have got Gingy, we've got a camera, but we've got his original skeletal structure as well. As just empties, basically, as far as we're concerned. And so, if I follow the spine to the shoulder, that's the right, yeah, I think it's his right hand that moves. I can get all the way down his structure here. There's his right hand. What can I do with this? What if I added a sphere collider to his hand? And then now I can adjust that size however I need it, but I can do some logic while he's attacking, right? So, um, huh? Yeah, but we're not doing that this week. Yeah, you can apply animations. You can go grab like Mechanim or other types of animations, and as long as the rigs match, you can apply those. But just using his current animation, um, I can add an on trigger enter on this or on trigger stay. Okay, and so now he's got a trigger on his hand, and it's going to follow his hand as he. You know what? Instead of just a sphere collider, I'm going to add. Can I add a sphere? Oh, that would have been cool. All right, we'll give it a child, just for giggles, just so we can see it. Cut this down to like 0.6 or whatever. Hit that button, we can scale 6. All right, so that's about the size. Now let's just watch this. So I added the sphere as a child just so we can see. Okay, as we wait. And it's just a matter of simple code. We can move that around. But if we attack, it follows that invisible bone. So if I add a sphere collider to his hand and on his trigger, this is how we're going to get him to attack. Okay, so I just check the trigger. Because I don't want to damage the other guy just by like walking up and hitting him from the side, right? So we just do we just check the trigger and check the other trigger in our trigger. That sounds weird. All right, so let me just look at the code, kind of preview it. So here's Gingy. Yeah, so we could, I'm trying to think. On the attack, I'm thinking we could set something up here that for, hey, I just launched the attack. So for the next whatever 2 seconds, this Boolean is true. And then in my on trigger enter or on trigger stay, right, for a different trigger and say, is this intersecting with the other character? Yeah, mess them up, right? And then we could even use that to call the oof animation on the other character. So yeah, just being able to attach objects and colliders and stuff to certain parts of the rig is really cool. All right, that's it. let's go have a fall break, or spend the next whatever 15 minutes working on yours. Um, does the rubric make more sense now? I'm not sure if I care about the mini map. As per the usual, do all the things. If you're doing something more than what's in the rubric and you want some extra credit points for it, just leave the comment as you submit it. Like, hey, Gingy can slap, but he also has a machine gun if you hit F or whatever. I don't know, right? And so if you're adding a bunch of extra game mechanics, um, I'm happy to give you bonus points for having fun with it, but I may not notice it or I may not be looking for it. So just leave a comment on the things that you add in, just so I know what to look for. I've had people ask for bonuses on stuff that I was like, okay, whatever. Went ahead and gave points just because. Like, yeah, they kind of did a thing. I wouldn't have noticed it or given them points, but since you asked. All right, that's it. We feel confident. We feel good about this. We're kit bashing some scripts. We're setting up 2 animators. We're borrowing other people's animations. And we're going to make, I guess, just basically a hand-to-hand combat brawler in a dungeon or whatever your level is. Okay, one more thing. One more thing. One more ridiculous thing. What if I wanted to add a sword? Okay, yeah, do that. That's fine. His hand moves. Position that a little bit. Now Gingy is attacking people with a giant bubblegum cigar. Or you can add a sword match in there. Put the trigger on the sword. That might be a lot of fun. Let's just see what it looks like. Probably terrible. Huzzah! Have at thee. Oh, the it's got colliders on the sword thing. So yeah, you want to turn that to a trigger for sure. Here we go. Yeah, this will be better. Yeah, so rather than physically smacking things around, we'll just check to see if this sword trigger went through somebody. That'd be worth bonus points and be a lot more fun than this aggressive handshake that he's got going on. All right, have fun with it. Remember, the main